Why are stock index futures higher today?
So today we have U.S. stock index futures trading higher, in fact sharply higher now following what we did see in Europe. European equities advancing as it appears that there may be some new fiscal stimulus plans in the works in the Eurozone. So that helped the indices. Also, there is a major breakout to the upside in the S&P 500. Also, we are seeing in recent days the NASDAQ gaining on the S&P, so that would be the bull spread working. So that in itself is a sign that there may be some follow-through gains in the stock index futures today.
What are the fundamentals impacting the U.S. dollar?
So earlier this month, the U.S. dollar index fell to a 2-year low, but in more recent days, there has been a recovery. In fact, now the dollar index firming up to a 2-month high. But today, looks like there is a new downdraft. And I think the new fundamental that comes into play is that there are some new fiscal stimulus plans apparently being proposed in the Eurozone, while the stimulus efforts here in the U.S. may be a bit more delayed if we do get another stimulus at all. So I think that factor is hurting the dollar and helping some of the other currencies. So there may be some follow-through weakness near term in the U.S. dollar index.
What is the best way to trade a steepening U.S. yield curve?
Well, I do believe that the yield curve is likely to continue to steepen, and that generally has been the case since early August. So I think a way to take advantage of that is to be long the front end of the curve futures and short the long end, namely the 30-year Treasury bond futures. And don't forget, the Fed is likely to remain on hold probably well into 2023, while the likelihood for a global economic recovery would be inflationary. And of course, that would affect the long end. So I still like being long front end futures of the curve and short the long end. I think that is a trade that will continue to work.
Soybean, corn, and wheat futures have turned lower. Why? Will this continue?
Corn, soybean, and wheat futures have backed off from their highs recently, in part due to the fact that technically we may be a little bit overbought. We're going into harvest, and also China may be slowing down their purchases of U.S. corn and soybeans. I think the market will continue to slip a little bit lower, but we'll see if we can find some support around maybe the 970, 980 area nearby beans, and maybe the 360, 365 area in corn.
What is the latest on China buying U.S. soybeans and corn? Latest on South American weather?
It appears that China may soon be slowing down their purchases of U.S. soybeans. If you count what's on the books to China and in the unknown, it's 29.5 million metric tons. Some people think they'll buy 32 million tons, so it could be close to the end of buying U.S. soybeans unless there's a problem in South America. The latest weather in South America is it's a La Nina year, and there is concern as we get into the crop growing season that it might be drier than normal in parts of Argentina and southern Brazil. So we have to kind of watch it pretty closely. Right now, northern Brazil is dry and eastern Argentina is also dry.
What will the USDA stocks report say on Wednesday? Is it important?
On Wednesday, the USDA will have a September 1 stocks report. Usually this report is not significant, and they trend to confirm in corn and beans the ending carryouts for the 19 and 20 marketing year. The USDA admits they don't count corn in transit, and they also don't count corn in barges. So there's sometimes a 300 million bushel swing one way or the other from the average trade guess on corn stocks. And in beans, the farmers should have sold most of their beans, should be in commercial hands, so it'll be interesting to see what that number comes out. In wheat, it's first quarter usage, and sometimes their implied feed wheat number is even bigger than the entire year feeding. So we could see some volatility, and especially consider it's month end and quarter end.
What is the latest managed fund net grain position? Will they hold it into month end? U.S. harvest?
Managed funds are long almost 100,000 contracts of beans, 60,000 contracts of meal, almost 100,000 contracts of soybean oil, and almost 100,000 contracts of corn. They're pretty much even in wheat. That adds up to almost 350,000 contracts of grain positions, down from the 429 earlier, but still relatively large managed fund long position this time of year and going into harvest. I think that for the most part, they might try to get out a little bit more of their long positions as month end and quarter end and as we get into harvest. But given the strong soybean export demand in fourth quarter of this year and corn the first quarter of 2021, we actually could see some more buying come in, especially if there is a South American weather problem.